the first starting point that we take is called circular flow diagram. It's basically the topic which opens us the macroeconomics itself. Okay, and let's look at what this diagram tries to tell us. So it is a model that explains in general terms, by which we mean that it does not go into the detail of everything. So that's why in general terms. So in general terms, how the economy is organized, and how participants, or sometimes we say agents, so how participants in the economy interact with one another. It also shows how currencies, or how currency flow through markets and in bracket we write this, with or without government. By that we do not assume an economy without government. Basically what we are saying that uh, we'll be drawing two circular diagrams. First one is easy one, it will not have government, and the second one is a bit complex, more approximate, more closer to the reality, and it will have government. So flow through markets with or without government among households and farms. Okay, so that's what we want to do. Okay, so let us first look at the simplistic one, and we will analyze that simplistic one a bit, and then we'll take a look at a complex one. So here we write markets for goods and services, okay, and below we write markets for factors of production, okay. On the right side we'll write households. See that I'm keeping some empty space here that will be required. Okay. And on the left side, we have farms. Okay. So what do these people do? So obviously in the, what farms do is, what does farm do? It produce and sell. Well, it will not be confined to the boxes. So let me just write the boxes later. Okay. So what does farm do? Number one is produce and sell goods and services. So this is something that we know. That means what? That means from farms to this market, what goes? The products that are sold, that goes from farms to the markets. And against that, the buyer has to pay some money, which becomes the revenue of the farm. And to produce these goods and services, farm needs to do something else also, which is hire and use factors of production. Factors of production. So this is again one of my own abbreviations. Production. Okay. All right. Now that means that basically in the markets for factors of production, farms are buying this, right? So factors are being bought by the farms from the markets for factor of production. And for that, farm has to pay money, which include wages, rents, and sometimes profit. Okay. So that means in the markets of goods and services, what is the exchange? The exchange is farms sell. So then who will be the buyer? The buyer will be households. So that gives us first activity of the households. What is that? That is buy and consume products. Buy and consume products. But if you want to buy, you need to spend money. So the spending, right? And then in return, goods and services bought. Just to say, I am writing product here to basically save space, but writing goods and services instead of products is a better idea. Or that's something that you must do. Now, if producers are buying factors of production from this market, who are the seller here? So households sell, right? Household sell. So from the households, what is coming? Labor, land, and capital. Okay. And if you sell land and labor and capital, what you will get is your income, which in turn allows you to buy goods and services by spending this income. Okay, so that means here we have another one, that is own and sell factors of production. So own and sell factors of production. Okay, and here in the markets for factors of production, household sell, and we must write here that farms buy. Right. So that means what? That means we have a symmetric view here, and the whole scenario can be divided, either vertically, where farm plays a different role. If farm is the seller here, farm is or probably we should go horizontally. So in that case, we get a completely symmetric picture, right? So on the upper side, farms is the seller and household is the buyer, and the lower half, household is the seller and farm is the buyer. And here, household buys what? If you look at the flow, it basically means household buys what household helps to produce. And if you look it from this side, then farms earns by selling, farm earns, and it spends on buying what is needed to produce. Okay, I'll just go it again. So households buy those products for which they sell the inputs, and farms sell those inputs for which they are buying, those outputs for which they are buying inputs. So in total, what is happening? This diagram is essentially closed and circular in the sense that if you start from any point and you return at that point through analysis. Okay, and as I said that we have the inner arrow. If you look at that, the inner arrow talks about the products. So let us look at that. So inner arrow inner arrow shows flows of inputs and output. Inputs and outputs. And for that matter, outer arrow shows outer arrow shows the flow of money. Okay. Okay. So here we have two things to notice. Number one is that if we try to understand how each and every component interacts in the economy, then we can have two pictures. One is inputs and outputs, that is at times we say in terms of real values, and flows of money. So this means in terms of nominal values. They will be better discussed in macroeconomics itself, obviously. And then we have a place where farms sell. Oh, obviously, here we missed. We have to write households buy. And here we have in goods and services, farm is the seller, household the buyer. In the input market, household is the seller, farm is the buyer. So obviously, if we are going through a circular flow diagram, symmetrically opposite scenarios are expected, right? Because otherwise it won't be, technically speaking, circular. Okay, so now we'll move on to a far more complex circular flow diagram. But obviously this time, we will not write so many details because in the easier form of circular flow diagram, we understand the details, right? So if we assume, let's say, or if we say that some household bought something here, then that money will go to the revenue as the farm, revenue to the farm, and that farm will use that money to buy some labor which need to produce the good, and that labor will take that money back home and again buy some good. Okay, so this is how the whole scenario works. Okay, so let us look at a more realistic and more complex picture, where obviously we'll not go to this much of detailed writing. So complex circular flow diagram. And what will it include? Obviously, the basic outline that we have drawn earlier, that will remain same. So markets for, and we'll write it, yeah, let me just write it. So markets for factors of production, markets for factors of production, okay. And here you have households. So as I said, as the diagram is symmetric, now we are drawing the mirror image sort of. So here you have households, and as we noted, from factor of production, household gets income. So here we are choosing to draw just the outer arrow, that is the money flow. And I expect that having knowledge of the flow of inputs and outputs from the previous circular flow, you will be able to write that by yourself. Okay, now obviously there is farms, and I am making a huge gap in the middle because I have to write a lot of things in the middle. And so from farms to factor of production goes the factor payments. That's the term that you use in general, factor payments. That is wages, rents, and profit. And obviously we have this outer border where here we will have markets for goods and services, markets for goods and services, and from households there goes the consumption, and from markets for goods and services to the farms goes the revenue. But as I said, we will have other components also. So let us first bring in financial markets, which even for large developing economies, which is a hugely highly important component. So from households to financial markets goes the savings, right? You put them in a bank or invest or something. Okay. And now from financial, okay, let us bring in another component also. And this time we bring in government. Okay, so from household to the government goes the taxes, both direct and indirect. So when you buy something, you pay, and as an income tax, you pay. Okay, and from financial market to government, there we have government deficit. This is something that obviously we'll discuss at large much later. So government deficit, in the sense that if government has a huge gap between the expenditure and the tax, then that part of expenditure which is not financed, which is not being financed by tax, can be financed with the help of the financial market. So that's why government deficit here. And obviously, if government is spending, then much like household, government will purchase also from markets for goods and services. So in here we will write government purchases. Remember, when I am writing government purchases, it is not half of a sentence. Okay, it is noun. Government purchases. It's a spending component. Okay, sometimes we call it government expenditure. And obviously, from financial market, money is invested in the markets for goods and services. So here we have investment. So in a complex economy, when we are talking services, you're not merely saying we are talking about lawyers, doctors, and teachers. We are also saying about financial services, intermediary suggesting services, IT services. So there are many components, and these are nowadays, these plays a huge role in our economy. So as you can see, that we can have the financial the circular flow without these two components, financial and government. That makes things easier, makes us understand how how money moves through this chain. But if we kind of trying to approximate the economy that we have today, sorry, this will be government, right? Then obviously we need to bring in the government and the financial markets, and both of them are quite important in their role to in their ability to increase the output, and their ability to increase the output. In for government, it's purposive, and for financial market, most of the time it is sort of autonomous. Okay, and obviously, if you go to the break of GDP, then you'll understand the huge role that is played by the financial markets in the modern economy.